learning about teachings of Amos. And we already talked about social responsibility, right? The first teaching of Amos, there were 6. The first one that we talked about was what? Social justice and what? Responsibility. So the second one is on he taught on hypocritical religion. There are things that he condemned in religion, yes? Hypocrisy, in the notes that I've given you, what does hypocrisy mean? Pretending. Yes? You are pretending. Yes? For example, I can give you good examples in school. Students pretend that they are sick. Yes. And at most, where we cannot tell whether you're feeling, my tooth is aching, I cannot eat. I cannot know I'm not. My tooth is aching, yes? Or someone comes and tells you what? My back is hurting. I cannot see where the back is hurting. I'm feeling pain in the back, yes? And then there's another boy in Form 4 who said, the private parts are what? Are itching. Those are very delicate areas. We cannot tell you, you have to be given a what? Permission to do what? To go home. There are those, actually now, the people who are pretending a lot are coming with, I have a toothache. Toothache, yes. Yes, most of the people are coming with toothache, you cannot tell, and then they start saying, I can't chew githeri. Even all those people who are saying that they cannot take githeri, they can eat githeri. There is no food which affects anyone here. No one. Which food now? I eat everything, am I dead? Even if you don't eat meat, you just eat meat and you take Piriton and you're good to go. You've never tried. If you don't, let me tell you, you're eating beef, yes? You're saying you don't take beef, you take chicken, yes? Hey! Both of them are protein. Oh, you're lying to me. You're lying to me. Why are those people who are taking special diet? What for? Because they cannot chew the githeri? Or because of the protein? If they give them eggs, they would eat eggs. And then they claim it's H. pylori. Do you know H. pylori? For someone to get H. pylori, you have to be really stressed and thinking. You have like a family, you are bred. Soon you'll be having a wife and a few children. That is the time now you can say, you're thinking now you're still a small child. So we continue. So I'm talking about being an hypocrite. You're pretending, right? Here, Amos was condemning people pretending in religion. The Israelites were pretending in religion. And in hypocritical religion, we are talking about these 5 aspects are the ones that he condemned. So the first thing that he condemned is insincere worship. And in sincere worship, he said the Israelites were fasting and they were doing what? They were also paying their tithing in the temple. They were fasting and they were paying tithe. But at the same time, they were oppressing the what? The poor. You cannot do that. You cannot fast or you cannot give tithe, and at the same time, you're despising your fellow human being. You're oppressing them. So they were oppressing the poor. That is being insincere. He also talked about in insincere worship, there were people who were noisy in worshiping. Noisy. Yet they lacked purity of heart. They were noisy in worship, but they did what? But they did not show any purity of heart. The second thing that he condemned in hypocritical religion was empty sacrifices. In empty sacrifices, he said that the sacrifices they were offering at Bethel and Gilgal were not accepted by God. Because they were not sincere in their worship. That is, they were not pure at heart. So all these sacrifices, the sacrifices they were offering, these two areas, Bethel and where? And Gilgal. And then he also talked about religious syncretism. Syncretism is whereby you worship through Yahweh or through God alongside other small what? Gods. So, and where did these gods come from that they were worshipping? It's because they mixed with other what? Other tribes, yes? In trade and intermarriages. So, these people they intermarried with or they were involved with in trade came about with their own what? Small gods, right? Yes. So, in order to please, if maybe you're married to a wife who worship small gods, you worship those small gods at the same time you worship who? Yahweh. That is what? Syncretism. That is whereby you're worshiping God and then at the same time you're worshiping maybe other idols or images. That is religious syncretism. So that is the third thing that Amos condemned in hypocritical religion. He also condemned idolatry. And in idolatry, there were idols of what? Samaritan. These idols. People are worshipping these idols and images. If you read the Bible, you hear about the idols of Samaritan. And they were not supposed to worship the idols. They were supposed to be sincere in worship, but they were worshipping the idols. The fifth thing is that they were involved in what? Temple prostitution. They were worshipping in the temple. At the same time, they were being involved in the prostitution. Conducting prostitution in the what? In the temple. So that is the fifth aspect that he condemned in hypocritical religion. So you have to remember all the five. Are you understanding? Yes. So from there, we talk about, I want to ask you, ways in which the rich oppressed the pure during the time of Prophet Amos.